Hello, my name is Taylor. I'm a financial coach, and I want to show you how to deal with manual accounts. Manual accounts come up often for my clients. They're something that we have to deal with fairly frequently. I would say about 50% of my clients need to use some level of manual accounts for various reasons. So if you have a loan from a friend, for example, and you're trying to track the balance, using a manual account in Monarch Money is really helpful. If you have just accounts that can't be connected, maybe they're not feeding transactions, you may have to use manual accounts in order to document the transactions and make sure they're adding into your budget. These can be accounts like HSA accounts, brokerage accounts, high yield accounts that aren't feeding, and just other bank accounts that you're using fairly frequently, maybe even a checking or savings account that you just can't get connected, but you still want to use Monarch Money. The other way you can use manual accounts is tracking your investments, so especially investments, because investment accounts don't always connect, even just to see balances, not even just transaction views, but even just the balances. And so if you're trying to track the value of your investments, and just maybe this could be your real estate investments, your stock market investments, maybe it's the values of your cars, like you can track all of your property with the manual accounts, and so that you get an accurate picture of your net worth. And as always, please make sure you sign up for the newsletter in the description of the video to get email updates on workshops where you can get answers to your questions on very specific use cases with Monarch Money, or just how to budget in general, how to create this budget. Because like I said in many of my videos, if your budget isn't working, if you've been hopping between many different budgeting apps, it's probably because you don't have a good budget in place, not anything to do with the apps. No app will work for you if you don't have a really solid understanding of your cash flow, your goals, and your values. So make sure you sign up for the newsletter, get into those workshops. They're super fun to learn how everyone else is using Monarch, so make sure you get signed up. So let's dive into how to deal with manual accounts in Monarch Money. So first off, we're going to go to your account section right here. We're going to click on this, and we're going to click on Add Account. When you add an account, instead of adding from here and getting these connections in place, these automated connections, you're going to click on this button right here, Add Manual Account. Now that you've done this, you can pick what kind of manual account you want. You can always pick other if none of these work, but you can also rename a lot of these. So they give you lots of options and baselines to help it track better in this summary section right here, where it's going between assets and liabilities. So that's why you want to just pick something as close as possible. If it's not quite what you need, then just go to other and try to describe it as best as you can. But you want to go either pick an asset or a liability. So a common one that I have people tracking often is a loan balance. If a loan from a friend or a family member and you're trying to track paying that down or receiving payments back to it, that would be more of an asset. But if you owe a family member money, we're going to go ahead and add that to this right here. So maybe this is loan to friend, or loan from friend. Got to pay back your friend, okay? And it's just a regular loan. You can just pick anything. You can just kind of pick whatever you want. There's just basic loan right there. And let's say you owe them maybe $10,000. Okay, you're going to go ahead and press save. And now that loan has been added to, oh wow, I misspelled that heavily. Loan from a friend. Yeah, so you have this loan and you can now see that in your net worth. So right here, it's in the loan section. You can see it here. Now, you might see transactions going to your friend, right? You might be Zelling them, sending a Venmo. You might be writing a check, giving them cash, whatever it is. You'll see those transactions being fed from your checking account, right? You're going to see money leaving your checking account. But that money is not going to affect this loan because it's money leaving your checking account. The only account it's connected to is checking. And so you have to actually manually enter the changes in this. So while you do see it leaving the checking account, the transaction is feeding into Monarch when it leaves your checking account from Zelle or Venmo, the receiving payment needs to be added manually. Otherwise, it does not know that it was received. That money was sent from the checking account to this loan. As far as that knows, it's just money that left the checking account. It doesn't know where it went to. So you need to create a manual transaction in order to show that payment. So if you're paying your friend, let's say $500 a month to pay this loan back, we're going to make sure we put in that dollar amount, but we also need to make sure we change this to a credit because this is going to decrease the loan balance. This is going to be a positive towards the loan. It's going to be green, positive. It's decreasing the loan balance. And so we want to change this to a credit, and I'll show you what that looks like. We're going to change the merchant to whatever you want. It does not matter what you pay here, so I'm going to just say payment to loan. Okay, and you're going to make sure you click create new. If you don't click that, it's not going to work. You're going to mark the date that you made the payment. You can change the category. And I would just mark this as transfer, because if you mark it as the loan repayment, right, if you click on this one, it's going to cancel each other out, because you've marked the loan repayment from the checking account. When you sent the $500 in Zelle, you marked that as loan repayment. If you also mark the receiving payment, it's going to cancel each other out. It's going to be a black and a green. It's going to be zero, and it's going to say you've spent $0 towards loan repayment, and we don't really want that. So the best way you could probably do this is either marking this as a transfer, or you could do a balance adjustment. I'll show you. There's really, both of these things do the exact same thing. I'm going to mark this as a transfer. I'm going to add the note, and it was payment to friend on maybe X date or whatever you want. I guess you already have that there, so it doesn't really matter. You don't have to leave a note in there at all. Now, there's an option here, adjust the account balance by $500. That is what is going to help move and track this balance. So I'm going to go ahead and add that transaction in, and now we can see that now my loan balance is $9,500, and here is the payment. Now, if you're also getting charged interest, you'd have to do a transaction for the interest charge as well as the payment principal, right? How much the payment went to principal versus the interest, and so that gets a little confusing. So the other way you can do this is just marking this as a balance adjustment. If you know that you now owe them $9,500, you can just mark it as a balance adjustment. It does the exact same thing. It just moves that balance down by $500. So it really doesn't matter how you categorize it between transfer and balance adjustment. It's just kind of up to you. So another example I want to use is the investment account. So I'm going to go to add manual account, and maybe there is some kind of investment that's just not tracking in Monarch. Maybe your 401k balance that you really want to see the balance of. 401k from work. And then we're going to track the balances manually. You can track the holdings manually, like you can manually enter in the holdings, but if you're constantly contributing, then you'd have to update this quite a bit. And so I think it's easier to just do manual, but the holdings would be more accurate technically, as long as you're willing to update how much you hold. Like if you're getting your employer contribution or your contribution every paycheck, then your holdings are going to change every paycheck. And so you'd have to change the quantity that you own in those stocks. So up to you how you want to do that. And let's say the current balance is $50,000. I'm going to go and press save. And so this just got added to my net worth. Now, to adjust this, we're going to do the exact same thing. We want to change the balance of this investment. And so let's say we want to increase this by $10,000. It was a big increase in the stock market. We want to increase this 401k by $10,000. So if we were going to increase the balances, it would be a credit. The credit is green, debit is black. So if we want to increase the balance, we're going to the credit. We're going to increase it by $10,000. We're going to name the merchant. And we could just do balance adjustment as your merchant name. It does not matter what the merchant name is. You could put Superman in there or something crazy. I don't know, something weird. It doesn't really matter. I just really want to iterate that this merchant name does not matter. So it's just for you and your notes and your marking. So I'm going to do a balance adjustment here as the category, because it is just a balance adjustment. It really wasn't a transfer of funds, right? It was just an adjustment that you're trying to make to your net worth balance. And we're going to make sure we adjust the account balance by 10. Once we add that transaction in, we're going to see that account balance go up. Now, if you do this fairly frequently, we're going to be able to get history, right? We're going to be able to see on September 10th, that balance went up by $10,000, and we can keep doing this. So I recommend adding your balance adjustments about every month or every quarter, so that you can get a tracking, like a trend of how your net worth is growing. So at least every quarter. If you want to do monthly, you totally could, but I wouldn't necessarily need to do more than that. I would think it's kind of up to you how frequently you want to do that, but that is totally up to you. Now, another scenario that I see often is a cash wallet. If you are constantly pulling out cash to pay for a lot of different things, you may want a manual account to track where your cash is going. Now, this is not mandatory or recommended necessarily. It's totally up to you how you want to handle that. If you want to, because when you withdraw funds, let's say you pull $500 out of the ATM, where you spend that money, you could either split the $500 ATM withdrawal and say, hey, I knew I put about 100 towards restaurants, about 100 towards this, and then maybe 300 towards this, right? You could split that transaction. But if you want to track in Monarch how much cash is actually in your wallet, if you want to be able to pull up Monarch and you can see, hey, this is how much cash should be in my wallet, then you might want to add a cash account to track that, especially if you get paid in cash or if you deal a lot with cash, you're probably going to want some kind of cash wallet. So your balance would be whatever amount of cash is in your wallet right now. So if you opened your wallet and you have $50 in there, that's going to be your balance, your starting balance here. We're going to go ahead and press save. Now, if you withdraw funds, you need to add a manual transaction because remember, if you withdraw funds, you pulled it out of the checking account, Monarch does not know where that money went. And so you need to then actually put it in the cash wallet. So that means you have to add the transaction, put a credit towards this. And let's say you pulled out $200 from the ATM. We're going to say, yeah, you have $200 now from the ATM. We're going to mark this as ATM withdrawal is probably what we're just going to name the merchant as, just giving a little bit of a description there. Doesn't matter what you put there necessarily. And I'm going to do transfer here because and we're also going to mark the ATM withdrawal that was fed into your bank account. So the ATM withdrawal that was fed in your bank account probably says $203 because you have that ATM transaction fee, right? Maybe you do. Maybe if you went to your bank, obviously you wouldn't, but you'll have two different transactions here. You're going to want to mark those as transfers. The 200 that left your bank account and the 200 that received into your cash wallet, they're now transfers. You don't want to mark one as the expense because then you'll be double counting, right? We're going to be counting all of the cash money you spend as well as the ATM withdrawal. We don't want that. So now we're marking ATM withdrawal as a transfer if you're going to use cash wallet. If you're not using cash wallet, then you would mark ATM withdrawal as like a cash withdrawal or whatever category makes the most sense. But in this case, we're going to do a transfer. And then we can leave a note if we want to, don't really have to. And then you can add the transaction. We're going to adjust the account balance by $200. That means you should have $250 in your wallet. If you don't, that means you either missed a transaction, you didn't add a transaction. So now I'm going to mark that, hey, I spent $25 going out to eat with friends. And so let's say you just went to, let's make this easier, Starbucks, and you paid for cash. And so that is why we are marking it now here. And we're going to adjust that account balance by $25. So our new wallet should be $25. Notice I did make that a debit, right? This is a credit. This is a debit. So if you want the balance to go down as an asset, that's a debit. If you want the balance to go up as an asset, that's a credit. And when I say asset, I mean like the positive things. If it's a loan, it's the opposite. So go back to the loan one if that gets a little confusing for you. Okay, so that's a really common one that people like to use. That current balance should be the amount that's actually in your wallet. So just keep an eye on it. Make sure you're really tracking this stuff. It does not need to be perfect. You could use round numbers. You could be completely exact with it. It's up to you how you want to run a cash wallet system in Monarch. And if you need to make edits to any of these accounts and any accounts that are connected, you just need to click on this edit button, and there's lots of different options here to make any changes that you need to make. Most often you're going to click on edit account, and you can change the name, the balance necessarily. If you do this though, if you change the balance here, it does not add to your history. So remember, like if you wanted to see a historical view of your net worth and you want to see how it changes month to month, if changing the balance right here will not give you that. It'll just update the budget or the balance. If you change it by clicking on add transaction and selecting that balance adjustment or a transfer or whatever, it's going to actually show you that trend. So just be cautious of that option. But you can update the balance that way here. And then you can update anything else about it, hide it, delete it, get rid of it if you don't want it anymore. All that stuff. So that's how you deal with most everything you need to know for manual accounts. But let me know in the comments what you're dealing with when it comes to manual accounts. If there's anything that I missed, if there's anything that you feel like was important to touch on that I missed, let me know. Otherwise, I'd love to see you in the workshops and we can address and go over scenarios that are more unique to you. And we can walk through very much more specific scenarios so that so that you can get over any hurdles that you have when setting up your Monarch money. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon.